Yes, so we are recording right now. Okay, so Martha Cherone is here.
Joel and Courtney. Kim Quirk.
Tracy Young.
Malcolm Bliss.
Awesome. So we will start by approving the May minutes and then can go into presentation kindly shared by Malcolm Bliss here. So I move that we approve the May minutes.
I can second that.
Any discussion?
I thought they were quite thorough.
Did I write them? I think I'm okay if I wrote them. Okay.
Yeah, it was a participated by mostly you. Yes, which I really appreciate.
And I'm starting to take some minutes now too.
Yes. So, and no discussion, it seems, so
No.
we are moving we are approving them as they are, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
so this is unanimous approval. And we're happy to transition now to the presentation by Malcolm Bliss. And yeah, I was sharing with Malcolm that we try to limit presentations to a total of 15 minutes plus Q&A 10 minutes, so 25. We're aiming for that tonight.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you
It's a
for being
goal.
here. It's a goal, and I know conversations get so exciting here that but if there is excitement, we discussed, like having maybe a follow-up conversation and go for it.
Well, super. Well, thank you, Marta, and thanks to you all for letting me share some of this time and participate in your meeting tonight. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks to Marta for making the arrangement, Rob for suggesting it, Rob Taylor for suggesting it. Anyway, I just want to do a little introduction of Kearsarge, and then Rob had suggested, and I hope this works out okay, is to talk about two particular case examples of deployment of solar in a municipal context. Those two examples we'll look at will be Bow, New Hampshire and Beverly, Massachusetts. Then with some, kind of methodological process kind of stuff behind that. So with that, here it goes. And given the goal, I'll try to work through quite quickly. Is that coming through? Can everybody
Yes.
read that okay?
Yeah,
Can we enlarge that at all?
yeah, you can enlarge the whole thing, Marta, with the upper right, big, yeah, right there. That would be a start. And then you can probably remove participants. That might, unless you need to see it. Is anybody online? Not yet.
Actually, Malcolm is.
Oh,
But
oh,
even,
well,
I
that's
think we
okay.
fix that. I don't think it'll make me go
There you
away.
go. And that makes it as big as.
That's
probably-
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Marvelous. All right.
You good?
So with that, now even being able to see the material, there's quite a bit on the slide. So I'll just hit some highlights in the interest of 25 minutes. I want to just say about Kearsarge Energy, the firm I'm associated with. We've been doing this work since 2009. Currently, we are operating 275 plus megawatts of solar facilities, mostly in the Northeast, but some in now in Mid-Atlantic. So Northeast focus since 2009. Things that I think are interesting to know about Kearsarge are we develop, yes, we also own and operate. So we're the party that if anybody begins to work with us, you will know who you're going to work with in the long term. We call that long-term partnership. That is unlike the very frequent practice of one party developing and then selling to somebody else for the own and operate, for the operate, maintain work, meaning you may or may not like the party that you end up working with. But with Kearsarge, at least you know who you're gonna be working with the whole time. We control all our own financing, so there's no jeopardy of wondering if the project is gonna be financed. If we start working on a project, we control the financing. We're not going to outside party. You know it's gonna be financed, and you know that down the road, somebody's not gonna say, hey, we changed the parameters or the Fed changed their interest rates. Therefore, any external factors do not influence the manner in which we operate the project. So that's something that people like.
Do you want questions along the way or at the end?
Go ahead.
What my question was gonna be, if you own, operate and finance, then are these mostly PPAs that you end up providing?
Frequently in New Hampshire, they are under the group net metering program.
Mhm.
They can be PPAs. So there's a couple of models that you can do. But mostly in New Hampshire is group net metering. Under New Hampshire group net metering, I do have a little material on that. Most recent contract awards include Concord, Belknap County, Pelham, Hudson, Bow, Littleton, Farmington. In addition to development on private land, quite a big pipeline in New Hampshire, over 150 megawatts under development. Okay, and one of our projects that I'm quite fond of, and we all are at Kearsarge, and it's quite a notable project, is on the Dunbarton landfill in Manchester. I'm gonna leave some handouts. I'll leave a copy with Marta and can follow up with electronic copies of this. You can see that solar array on top of the landfill, only on the flat part because we don't want to stretch the cap on the landfill. So that's carefully engineered so as to protect the integrity of the landfill. This is the largest municipally operated group net metering facility in the state, and has delivered over $100,000 of benefits to City of Manchester in 3 years without any investment or outlay on the part of City of Manchester.
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Does it overproduce, meaning, it exports into the grid, for the most part, right?
This exports 100% into the grid as measured by Eversource, and Manchester is the group net metering off-taker for this project. So you asked if.
Yeah, municipal, and it's all municipal, because you can't go above a megawatt without having it all be a municipal.
We pioneered those rules.
Yeah.
In fact, this
Yeah.
project was the trailblazing project that gave rise to those rules. In fact, so this is exactly correct.
Okay.
And most of our projects are as close to 5 megawatts as possible. So we're always looking for municipal offtake or political subdivision, as the rules say. That means things, mostly public entities. So as an example of a municipal-wide planning initiative, and I noticed in the agenda later to be talking about the idea of being all renewable energy for Enfield by 2050, or some goal like that. So we power all by renewable energy. So similar mindset in place in Beverly, Massachusetts. How can we get as much renewable energy from our area, our space, our land, our roofs as possible? So let's look across our portfolio of space and put solar wherever it makes sense. So here you can see the various places where Kearsarge has developed projects and done this in partnership with Beverly. The city will receive a total of $2 million in benefits over the life of these 20-year life of these projects. And you can see one of the pictures there. Interesting about Beverly is we have repowered a project that was first installed there in 1981, I think. So one of the first public solar projects that was done with support of the federal government at that time. But anyway, so they have a long tradition of doing solar things there, and we're really excited to be partnered with them.
Are they gonna do storage next? This is Beverly, Mass, right?
It's Beverly, Mass. We have also done storage. I only put the solar up here, but we have also storage facilities. In some cases co-located, in some cases standalone with these solar facilities.
Great.
Okay. Bow, New Hampshire is similar. Hey, let's look at the prospective places where we could put solar, then set about to doing it and get the advantage of doing that. So they happen to have had a landfill, a gravel pit, 2 school roofs, which were suitable for this. This was recently written up in the Concord Monitor, and I'm going to leave a copy of that article with Marta, or in fact, I will pass this around. Anybody can, Chris, if you'd like to take a look, just here's the materials, and then you can pass them around. I'll send this electronically later, but you'll have a copy just so you have some backup on this. You can see some of the headlines and related materials. Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
all these towns can use that much energy, or are you net metering it to other towns too? I mean, it just has to be municipal in the same utility, right?
In this case, the towns are using all the electricity produced.
Because Enfield doesn't have a big footprint electricity need. We don't have a waste treatment plant. We actually, when we look at the total amount of
Yeah.
electricity use in all of the municipal buildings, it's in the order of 200,000 kilowatt hours a year or something, not.
Marvelous. Well, here's the good news is, what I like about that is, I think we can get to your, was a 2050, 100% renewable goal.
Pretty easily, yeah.
Now we'll say like, hey, we can do that, and congratulations on the lease revenue that you can receive and the pilot revenue that you can receive while producing clean energy for others to use. So you could be a net exporter of clean energy if you
Yeah,
want,
yeah.
and benefit from lease and
I think that
pilot.
was kind of your question, Marta, right? Can you be an exporter?
Fantastic, absolutely, yeah.
The context being the community power.
Yeah.
In New Hampshire, they're looking for sources, clean source of energy.
And as soon as the state puts in place the rules, I think HB 1600 did not pass so far.
Yeah.
But once HB 1600 does, that power generated go into community power. But in the meantime, group net metering does the job. And okay, so it's great if HB 1600 or similar does pass, but that is not an obstacle to doing this. In fact, yeah, there's no need to wait because the utilities will have us waiting long enough anyway with interconnection process. Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So here's municipal wide planning for solar. Step one, identify sites. Step two, take advantage of scale on permitting, construction, financing, et cetera. Step three, operate. And I just want to talk in the interest of time, talk about identify sites first. We can drill on any further subjects, but I know Marta said they was trying to keep it short here. So initial ways in identifying sites, if you said, hey, here's a site, take a look at it, we would look at these factors, which eliminate most sites. And you all may be familiar with this already, but we work through this quite quickly and it's not a burden for us. It's rather a way of life for us to evaluate sites using these criteria on a very speedy basis. So we want to turn it over. We need to find new sites. I think we all do in the interest of producing clean electricity. And at the top of that process is a large funnel, which gathers as many sites as possible in, and we have to screen out because you can't develop on wetlands, flood zone, et cetera. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say that we looked at the public works facility on the south side of Lock Haven Road. As an example, let's take these very criteria and see if Lock Haven Road could be a good site. So on
This facility?
are we on the south side? I think this is it.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Well,
there's
this is
also,
what we call the Public Works Building, so I'm thinking this is where we're talking about.
there's also one on the north side. There's another town-owned property and also,
Right.
I think we're on the south side.
Yeah, that's.
The transfer station is on the other side of the road.
Got it. Okay, so I'm getting familiar with that myself. Okay, so the property itself is 28 acres. Okay, that's the far left on this, at least according to the database that we have.
Yeah, we're in the building that has the little building marker on it.
Oh, there you are.
That's where we are right now.
Okay, and then in the middle,
Closer, just.
oh yeah, I can see there's a pin there, right?
Yeah, right here. It's the
Okay.
building we're in.
Nice.
We're parked here.
Is that my car?
Yeah, here's your car.
So in the middle image then is constraints imposed by flooding, wetlands and sloping. And we happen to have a lot of all that in New Hampshire. Then the remaining area on the far right side shown in white are, hey, you know what? You could probably put solar panels here. It turns out it's 6 acres, which is a reasonable amount of land. So that's some of the criteria very quickly. And then let's look at remaining criteria. Hey, there's 3-phase service to this site.
Yeah.
Great. Unfortunately, the final criteria, which is there hosting capacity?
Then you get to Liberty's problem.
Right.
And that substation right down the street with a megawatt plus going further into Canaan. Which
Yes.
has been our problem. Yeah, for a long time.
So you're not surprised by this outcome.
No,
But-
just saddened.
I know. Well, that's our life. And then we always have to brighten our day by finding the next site to evaluate.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining that other folks who might be listening at some point don't know what that means. Could we explain what is hosting capacity?
Sure thing.
Just briefly.
Sure. Hosting capacity is what I sometimes would call grid resources. Even if you have nice wires coming to the site, as shown on the left here, the wires may feed into the grid, which is not able to accommodate that generated capacity. And I kind of like the way Liberty puts this on their database. They call this generate max megawatts. So that's the maximum amount of megawatts that can be generated on this segment of the grid. And it says here, the maximum allowed to generate is 0.03 megawatts.
Oh, yeah,
Which is
300
like-
kilowatts.
Can't even, I mean, anyway, unfortunately, that's not enough. We're looking for, 2 megawatts. So we're looking for like.
Get this feeder information.
Um,
Available on their website at.
It is. You can Google that and you can find a map and pretty quickly probably figure out how to do it.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Okay, so other types of sites to consider. So generally land of 4 or more acres, that last example was 6 acres, great. Roofs of 75,000 square feet or more. And you can see for land, underutilized land, brownfields, landfills, land acquired via tax auction are all candidates and others. Roofs could be schools, warehouses. Examples of one we might yet evaluate here in Enfield, this is just me without knowing Enfield really. I go like closed landfill on East Hill Road. I get that from a state database, says there's a landfill in Enfield on East Hill Road, but Google doesn't know an East Hill Road in
Oh,
Enfield.
I don't know East Hill Road. Do you know an East Hill
I don't
Road?
know where East Hill Road is.
All right, so maybe the
The
state,
only thing I can think of is he's
It's that
talking about the original stump dump off
Where?
of the Bog Road.
Bog Road is definitely a wetlands.
Well, it is. I'm just saying,
Sounds
the
bad.
only
Yeah,
closed
yeah.
thing that could have possibly
Been a
been
landfill at
a
some point.
landfill or something would be that original stump dump on Bog Road, but I've never heard of East Hill Road.
well, neither has Google, although
Google.
Google did identify an East Hill, but no East Hill Road. So the state database has posed a mystery to me, and maybe the state
Yeah.
data is just completely raw.
I can't
Yeah.
think of where that is.
Maybe
The
East
database frequently will confuse Enfield, New Hampshire with Enfield, Connecticut.
Oh,
I also did, we have, there's another perspective site we have in Enfield, Connecticut, so I'm more likely to fall into that trap. But in this case, I did circle myself back to New Hampshire.
make sure it wasn't
Okay,
Hampshire.
but this was hypothetical anyway, so.
Hypothetical,
Right.
but here's the thing is, if you said, here's 10, look at them all. I don't, I don't care. If I figure them out, it's stumped up, I'm gonna look at stumped up on Bog Road anyway.
Sure.
Same thing, already checked, Enfield Town Garage on Shed Street. Buildable area is minimal,
Tiny.
inadequate grid resources again.
Yeah, there's no free phase there. Hold on though.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, shoot, wait a minute, let me think of. You're only looking for municipal land. Is there a reason why you wouldn't consider private land for municipal array?
We absolutely will consider private land and do have many projects,
This way,
ongoing on
okay.
private land, yes. Yes, thank you for asking that. I apologize for any confusion, but if you say, hey, there's a private landowner who
Wants to do that?
might like to
Yeah.
consider this.
He's unfortunately on the same leg of liberty as the one that
So
came.
one I'd be interested in sometime trying to explore is the town well site off of, Route 4A, Route 4.
McConnell, well, it's down the same leg of Liberty's substation that's full.
Oh, that is on that
Anything
same
on
leg?
4 down.
Anything on
Canaan.
4, so it's on that same leg?
Yeah, everything down Route 4 towards Canaan from Main Street, 'cause
From Main
that's the
Street.
substation. Yeah, is full.
It's
I mean, it's part of the same lake,
It's part of
so
the same
you can
leg.
put little solar on it, but you can't,
Upgraded by them.
you can't put a megawatt on it.
Yeah.
Until something different happens, until
yeah.
Liberty changes it.
And that's true for all of Enfield?
No, all of Route 4,
Okay, so, okay.
I think.
If there's any, even a shadow of a doubt, like I said, we'll
Yeah.
just,
Look at,
happy to take a look.
Yeah.
Happy to take a look and we'll evaluate on those criteria, which are the ones which most frequently cause a site to be disqualified. If you survive those criteria, that's very good. We can go on to the next thing.
Right. how about the new development in Laramie? How much roof, is that a flat roof?
None of it is flat roof. They're all pitched,
Okay.
and I would venture a guess to say they will not be over-engineered.
Right, but it doesn't take much, especially on a pitched roof.
Right.
If you're meeting code, you can put solar on it. So,
Yes,
Almost.
most usually, unless it's in very poor repair, pitch.
well, but this is brand new.
No, it hasn't been built
Brand new.
yet.
No, it would be
It's
brand
not
new.
the- I think they.
On the other hand, that particular site is going to have
It's not gonna be enough. Doesn't matter. if
a
it-
lot of acres.
Oh, well,
undeveloped.
so I don't think our zoning would allow that they rip out all the trees and put in solar in
No,
some of
but
that excess land, although I think it's a great thing for us to put in zoning, is that something like that is possible.
yeah,
And especially since what we're talking about is not ownership of that solar array by the individuals who are probably only renting anyway, it's probably apartments. but by the
There'll be
owner.
condos up there as
There'll be
well.
some condos.
There will be condos.
But in any case, the time to do it would be when there's one owner.
Right.
If it was gonna be a nice big piece of their land.
But the other thing to look at is the Bob LaCroix property. But again, there's the problem. of
The
it's
same
on that
place, yeah.
Same,
And it's in wetlands, isn't that the if it's the
not the
bottom?
back.
Okay.
The part that butts up against the Canaan town line,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
However, the problem is access to the power lines.
Yeah. So for instance, we can put a 60 kW array on around near at the new fire safety building, but we can't put a mega one.
Interesting.
Hugely different. Probably not even 500 kW. Probably we can only go, to something that would serve the building or partially serve the building.
Yeah,
Anyway, different than what you're looking.
All
for,
great
but-
discussion. This is exactly the conversation that if we can support that, you go, what do you think? Or how about this? Or ever done? We
Yeah.
would say, yes, 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 or how about this? We love that.
Okay, clarification. If Laramie is north of Main Street, is that on a different,
Laramie.
well,
Oh, yeah,
Laramie Farms
Oh, it's-
development is
it-
north of the substation,
yeah,
and most of the substation
yeah.
is intended to send their power.
See, the thing about Laramie is it's a brand new construction. They have to put in service to feed this new
Yeah,
5-story, 100 and how many building units?
300 units?
So they're gonna have to have three phases already very close. Probably they would have 3 phase. And the question is still though, whether they could put solar on it, because it's sort of right at, like, I don't know. Maybe you could figure that out, but I don't know if you can figure it out until they put the service, like this is next year's construction or
Yeah.
whatever. So I don't know
it's a
when.
phase thing. I don't think they'd even begin construction for 2 years.
But I think it would come right off the substation. So does that make it more likely that, if one feeder going down to Canaan is definitely full? And they start at the substation and create a new feeder, I don't know.
What about any land that's on 4A, for example, working with the
4A is different entirely, yeah.
museum?
Yeah.
Especially on the land that they've now accumulated.
Yeah,
What
Yeah.
about something out there?
yeah,
Well, so this is great. And this is kind of the brainstorming.
Right, okay.
And if you say, here's, at some point you go like, here's a list and I'm making some notes, but I will be happy to, even as over time, hey, look at this. And sometimes there's a list that a town will say, hey, we just like to know if these are developable.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you.
What's the smallest size you work with?
We're looking for, if
4
on
acres?
standalone 4 acres, if it's in conjunction with an entire municipal site, for example, let's just look at back here to backtracking for a second at some of these sites in
Yeah, so you do the
Beverly.
175.
yeah, City
because it was-
Hall is 29. We would never do that standalone, but we were like, hey, they say, can we please have on
Put it
City
all
Hall?
together,
Yeah,
yeah.
all together, exactly. It's one thing together. Perfect. So with Shed Street, for example, Shed Street here, as standalone, we probably wouldn't, but as part of a municipal plan, that would make sense, because you have people in the town anyway, as long as you're in, keep these crews busy, do the permitting, it becomes efficient.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not sure I understand when you just said that.
Yeah.
What I thought you were saying was with Shed that it wasn't possible because of the connection.
that's true. The connection is a stumbling block there, but in regards to size. If that was otherwise viable, we wouldn't do it as standalone, but as part of municipal wide, we would consider something that size.
So when you say municipal wide, that means that there would be several,
Right, and
Yeah.
some of them have to be
and they
really
would be
big.
smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as something's big.
Medium size.
It's like a mall. If you have an anchor store in a mall, then you can have smaller stores around the mall,
Economy of scale, not size.
Yeah,
Economy of scale.
Then for, I think, given 200,000 kilowatt hours a year, this is probably not of interest, but I have material about group net metering. And rather than saying Enfield could be an off-taker or a member of a group, if you're familiar with the program, I would say rather, to your prior question, Kim, Enfield could be the place where there's a host facility. If there's sufficient land, then others can become a member of that group with a host here in Enfield. So if you have sufficiently sized solar facility, then you could export the clean energy through the group net metering program and the
Benefits
host would be
from
located here.
leases or some other fees or whatever.
Yes, if you have a
That's
facility
okay.
here, if it happens to be on Enfield land, there's lease payments and payment in lieu of taxes. If it's on private land, there's lease payment to the landowner, but payment in lieu of taxes to the town.
So PILOT pilot is the payment in lieu of taxes,
Yes.
that the town can benefit from.
And may be interesting to follow through on that with regard to the loss of lead land, because that is the tax arrangement with them. It's a pilot.
So there's more information here about group net metering program. So in the example we just discussed, the host could be in town of Enfield somewhere, whether on Enfield town-owned property or on privately owned property within Enfield. And then other members would benefit from the production of that. And that host facility in Enfield would export to members elsewhere. So this picture is from New Hampshire Public Utilities Commission. They did a decent job of representing, and that's a way that others could benefit from a host facility here.
What about the regional school district? The high school?
Well, it's in Canaan for one thing.
I know, but it could be,
Like a group net metering.
yeah, I mean, it could be a group.
There's
School,
not a lot of land there. That isn't,
treed, heavily
well,
treed
that
with
isn't used
trails.
for fields or
Yeah,
buildings.
fields and trees and trails,
It's, but there's,
but it's also that same
Okay.
distribution feeder.
Here's the
The
president.
full-
yeah, it's the same
You're right, you're
distribution
right.
line.
Sorry,
For schools tend to be also pretty large users of electricity and have decent sized roofs. And so in Pelham, New Hampshire, right now, we're just going across the schools. It's purely schools, and they have big enough roofs and electricity is big enough usage that the problem of the grid gets diminished because they're using the electricity on site.
Right.
So if you said, hey, here's the person at Canaan Schools or Canaan Schools, we'd like to help facilitate. We would similarly like to help that be evaluated. Are Canaan School roofs, good roofs for solar installation to support their electric usage? We can help evaluate that. So happy, if that, I'm very happy to.
Yeah, it's a regional school district, so that's why I was,
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. All right, so if somebody were to host a group net meter facility, or have any one of the other projects or programs that we talked about here, we'll lay out a 20-year schedule, look something like this. Here's the financial benefits. And we can model this quite quickly and work in parameters that you advise. And some of the materials I'm passing around, the time frame is not 20 years, but 30 years. You know, you may say, I want a 25-year, or, you know, other parameters that you may want, and we will happily provide a forecast of your benefits. Suggested next steps, if you like any of these ideas, are identify prospective sites. We already started on that. Wonderful. We can help evaluate those sites, review electricity bills if you like. As I talked about with the schools, you can say we can help calculate the 20-year financial benefits, and Kearsarge support the town process, whether for on-site or off-site. So that's what I wanted to share. And please consider Kearsarge a resource and a partner for any type of solar evaluation or development work that you may want to consider.
yeah, my understanding is that you're doing a project in Plainfield.
We are, yes.
Is that on private land?
I believe that is on Plainfield. Well, that's a very good question. And I'm not familiar, but my colleagues were there just at a Plainfield town meeting last week. I think that is on private land with payment in lieu of taxes being paid to Plainfield.
Yeah, and it seemed to me, because I
Yeah.
had been asking about that.
Yeah.
But then would that be used to provide energy to the residents in that town, would that be a group net metering project?
That is intended to be a group net metering project, great example. And because of the size of the project, state rules say projects larger than certain size, 1 megawatt, and that exceeds the size limit, must have group members that are
Municipal only.
municipalities or other
So
public.
not
entities.
individuals. It's not a community solar farm that individuals can buy into, for instance.
Okay, but what it is. Say it again. It has to have municipal
Off takers or
Off-taker.
loads, yeah,
completely
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
only.
only.
You know, I had this great idea that an off-taker could be the YMCA.
No.
Great organization, and they're partly funded by some public entities, which almost lets it squeeze in, but the answer is
New
YMCA. no.
Hampshire's rulings right now are just municipal and school districts, so I mean, county,
So school districts do
Yeah.
qualify.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
explicitly.
So for example, of something which fed not the high school, but fed the Enfield Elementary School would be allowed,
The Enfield Elementary School could be an off-taker,
right?
a load,
Yes.
for a municipal, solar array somewhere else.
Mm,
Doesn't even have to be in Enfield, but it has to be on Liberty.
Right, in the same utility area, exactly.
So they could be Plainfields, like, does Plainfield have all its off-takers? As a matter of fact, I think they don't, because I think they've asked
Yeah.
us if Enfield would need, actually, no, I don't know that Plainfield is in Liberty territory. I don't know where they're building it.
No,
Right.
Plainfield is
Mostly
in the
Eversource.
co-op,
It's in,
Oh,
it's
that
all
doesn't
three,
help them. That doesn't help
It's all
them.
three.
yeah.
but I
But
don't
anyway,
know
so-
that particular site, which utility is.
Yeah.
Right, so probably our municipal loads would not help them, and even if they would we get something for that?
Yes, group members save money on electricity. New Hampshire's worked this out in a great way. Group members for participating in the group receive a check. When the facility starts producing, you get a check and you don't need to invest or outlay. That delivery of a check,
Small check, it's a
ACH,
little check, yeah.
yes, depending on how much electricity you use and how
That's
big.
better
your-
than not, yeah,
Yeah, and,
and you're supporting solar. This is the same as that solar refund program we talked about a little while ago, that if we pledge our municipal loads to a community solar farm or whatever, then we would get a small check.
Yeah. that simplifies deliver check simplifies the accounting, otherwise it's more complicated.
Yeah.
But in the end, you get a check.
And so would Kearsarge be able to work with a municipality less than, you know, as small as ours? In terms of the loads that we have, like, is there a minimum loads, like 100 kW kilowatt hours? Or
We're looking for 250,000 kilowatt hours.
Yeah, okay.
So it sounds like it's
Yeah.
pretty
we're
close, but you know what?
probably- Actually, we're not that much, now that I remember, it was probably under.
No, but when you add 300 units at Larrabee Farms.
Yeah, but they're not municipal, they wouldn't add to the municipal load of,
Oh,
and-
municipal load, excuse me.
yeah.
Town.
The school district possibly, but I don't know if that can be considered Enfield or if it matters.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, well, let's think about that.
Right, if you say, hey, here's an idea, tell us we can make it work. I want to make it work, we want to make it work.
I have
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah.
And it's more about the financing.
Yeah.
So do you have a sense of how these projects have been financed? Simply.
Yes, here's the way, this is one thing that our partners like about Kearsarge is in a way of making it easy. The municipality doesn't have to do anything. We'll finance, take care of the paperwork, everything, only thing, you know, there to do some of the utility processing, we need owner of utility account signature, and obviously we gotta go through the permitting processes and things like that. But otherwise, it's turnkey. Kearsarge, you take care of it.
Where's Kearsarge based out of?
Yeah, I was gonna ask some questions like that too.
Headquarters in Boston with offices in Hudson, New York and Bristol, Rhode Island.
Okay.
And how many people?
29 people.
And so you're developers alone, you don't do the installs, you don't actually, you do the billing and the maintenance of these programs, lease programs, or you even farm that out?
We contract for the construction, and we have longstanding relationships with our contracted construction engineers, surveyors. We usually take local anyway. We want somebody who really knows the area. We will contract for vegetation management when it gets to operation phase, somebody come in, please, we'll contract locally for
Yeah.
sheep or lawn mowing or whatever it may be. But it's 29 of us at Kearsarge and then, with contracted, participation in the projects.
Do you ever work with Revision? I work for Revision.
Oh, my gosh. We happen to have,
ABC?
we have good, relationships and would like to do more with revision, but,
Okay.
right now we're trying to make the spark on.
Any more questions?
I think we met at the conference, the, Clean Energy Conference,
Yeah, the one, I
this
recently,
November.
No, but it would have been last November.
yeah, in Manchester. In
Yeah,
Manchester? Yes, I think in Manchester.
right.
Right. Oh, yes.
Because I remember getting a card from Kearsarge and passing it on.
I remember you telling us about Kearsarge.
Ah,
Right.
well, good to, well, I don't know why I was there, but good to meet you again. It was good.
So no, but I guess I was curious about the complications of the school district if because it's a regional school district and one school's in Enfield, if our school in Enfield could go under contract with the Plainfield project.
Again, only if they're both in Liberty. So it matters what
Got it.
utility they are, and
But,
they
I mean,
probably aren't, but if they
that-
were.
But I wondered if that would be a complicating factor for the school district.
I don't think so, because even they, if the high school was in Liberty too. So in that case, wait, across towns, is that we're waiting for HB 1600?
HB 1600 is about these type of projects providing clean electricity into the supply mix for community power.
Specifically community power.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, so your municipal off-takers can be in many different towns as long as they're in the same utility.
True, exactly.
So like,
Right.
if we find if somebody's looking for municipal off-takers for Liberty, then we could offer up our elementary school and high school both. And Kate,
So off-takers need to be either municipal or schools,
yeah,
not-for-profits aren't qualified.
not good enough. Too bad, no.
Too bad. Nice try.
Maybe next
We
time.
give it a shot.
Talk to Sununu. Actually, we'll get somebody new in there. Maybe things.
Yeah,
will
she will be, but
Maybe it won't be she.
I'm cynical about the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Right, so I guess
Thank you.
we're wrapping up this section of the
Great.
meeting.
All right.
Thank you so much for.
Thanks very much for allowing the time here. It's a pleasure to meet you all also, and I have in this folder, which I will send an email with electronics. And there's a, yeah, very good. Absolutely. I will have it to you shortly. And I'll just disconnect. Thank you again for that, There's gonna be a few files attached. You can put them in the directory or something. I'll plug the right one.
There you go.
Please, if, as you
A lot of
remember,
wires.
it's your process to get here.
Thank you.
Got it. Nothing went down. Very good.
Very good, very good.
got that.
Thank you very much.
I'll have to find out from Evan.
Yeah. I think I asked, it's funny because I think we had this conversation at one of the CPCNH meetings and I think he told me it was outsourced, but it'd be good to follow.
So now we're moving into the other part of the agenda, starting with indeed, with community power.
All right, I have a few community power updates. So fun news is we're gonna get new rates soon. The rates will be in effect starting in August. And they're a little bit higher than what we're currently at, but
Thank you, Malcolm.
thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good evening. Bye for now.
Likely to be significantly lower than the defaults Liberty and Eversource, like in.
So Liberty is going up as well.
Oh, yeah, they're going up a lot, and we're going up a teeny bit. So, that's what it looks like. And so that's pretty exciting. The final, prices and stuff won't be out until
July 1.
Thursday. Oh,
Yeah.
no, but they get approved at the board meeting, and that's a
Correct.
public board meeting, so. it's-
Correct.
But that's after Liberty announces their new rates.
They already did.
They
Well,
already-
they did. There's little.
They
nuance.
haven't been approved by the PUC yet.
Okay, but it's important for the public when it happens.
Right.
To have our number, community power number, and the Liberty Utilities number, so that they know who the bad guy is.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is that Liberty and Eversource look like they're going from their high, what were they at, 8.9 or 9.1 or ish? They were different, the two of them,
Right.
into the 10 range, and we're just going to go from like low eights to mid eights, so it's not gonna be too bad, or high eights, whatever.
Yeah.
I think, so, anyway, so yeah, it's, I think in the order of 15+% savings still.
Which is great.
Which is actually better than the last rate period. We
And
didn't get quite that much.
Eversource is doing an unbelievable job of just finding every little fee that they can charge.
Yeah, there was
They're
another one we
Their
heard about.
distribution fees are going through the roof.
Yeah, we just heard about why that was today and unknown errors and mistakes that were made and why, and who's gonna have to pay for those.
Yeah.
It's really too bad, but well, we're keeping an eye on
And that
that.
affects a certain number of Enfield residents.
Right, and then the piece of news is that we went to the board meeting, the select board meeting, and it was decided to wait for, to get approval at a town meeting, before introducing a new rate. So, we have from now until, probably when warrant articles have to be written to the end of the year-ish, to have some public meetings, to get some feedback, maybe to develop a program in more detail. What other things, Sharon?
To figure out where the money would be housed once we requested it from, from the. But yeah, it's, yeah.
And then there was also a public hearing, correct?
Oh, yeah.
It was,
Yeah, actually, we did both of those things between the last.
Right.
I wasn't able to attend because we were away, but and I saw the video, however, and I thought your
Oh.
presentation was great. The gist I get out of it is that for legal reasons, it has to go to a town vote. So I don't think there didn't seem to be an option involved.
No, I think if people are supportive.
I didn't have a sense that it was a legal issue. I had a sense that they wanted more buy-in from the
I
community.
just heard Ed mention that the evaluation of the town attorney said that he thought that it was required to be a town vote in order for the select board to be able to.
I'll have to go
approve it.
back and I don't recall that specifically, but I think I was focusing on other aspects rather than that.
The things that the two items that I think would need to be in your proposal for warrant will be the amount. In other words, the specific fractional amount that would be added to the utility cost, as well as the specific uses of the fund once established. And once that's in the warrant, then I think people have the facts to base a decision on, and it becomes less of a difficult decision for folks to make. Especially once they see what, an accumulation of a few dollars can help.
Okay, so tell me the two things that you
Well,
think.
my impression was that, the specific, needs to identify the specific amount of money, the fractional,
So that would be the adder.
yeah, that would be added to the utility cost. And also a description of a fairly specific description of the program as to where the money would be going and used for. In other words, not just a simplification of it's going to audits. It needs to be a little broader than that.
I disagree.
Okay,
And I guess that's part of why I focused on that part of it more. And, it's more of a philosophical thing. I think that, I perceive it as kind of like a savings bank. You start saving and, for instance, we may want to purchase or get into a purchase power agreement or some kind of an arrangement for another solar array. And we could do that, or we could even use that money to buy out the current PPA that we have. And I guess
Ooh, interesting.
I've been hesitant to say that because,
Well, yeah, no, I mean, the good and the bad about that is that the current solar array reduces the price of electricity needs for a particular building and some other buildings, but it doesn't help the average resident in Enfield, right?
it's true.
And so that might be a harder sell. And I don't know, but just a thought. I
Right.
like the idea though, in terms of coming up with money to buy that array.
Yeah, I guess,
Okay, so but I want to capture your idea. You think the discretionary funds, think of them as a savings account.
right. And if we're too specific on it, then we're locked in. And if something else comes up, or we can't vary from that. And that is a downside to me.
I can see that too. Locked
And
into
I
a
think
specific program.
in general, the concept of doing audits, not everybody wants an audit. Or needs one. So it's something that would be offered to everybody, but not everybody would avail themselves of it. Or has a need for it, let's put it that way.
Right, I do think that, I mean, this is what we need to do the public meeting sessions for, is to get more feedback. Hopefully we'll get some more feedback from individuals. Because I was thinking we needed to sell the program as being able to address like low and moderate income people who couldn't otherwise afford solar or weatherization or an audit or an
Yeah.
energy audit.
Yeah.
And that might go towards the idea that we need a program that details that out and who's gonna benefit.
Right,
But I really like the idea of a savings account, and I think that would have to go towards we agree as a town that we want to meet a goal of 100% renewable by blah, blah, blah. Here is a savings account to address issues when they come up to do just that. But that's kind of like, that helps the town, it doesn't help the individuals, so it's,
yeah.
I can see both
agree.
ways of
I
doing
can
it.
too.
Unless it is also used for mitigating disasters or things
Yeah.
like that, you know, like
Yeah.
in terms of the adaptability and
Yeah.
resilience. Those are experienced by all. But yeah, I also like the idea of a savings account.
So clearly it needs to be
Yeah,
worked on.
that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I can see both sides.
I
Yeah,
know,
Yeah,
me too,
Yeah.
me too.
Maybe we have to split the money.
There you go.
so and are there any next steps regarding to this? Because you went to two important meetings.
Right, we went to the select board, did the
Right.
presentation, there were several questions that were raised. 2 weeks later, there was a public hearing.
Yeah.
That was at the beginning of the select board meeting. There were questions raised there. And at the select board meeting, the recommendation was to put it to town meeting.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? That was the process.
Okay, no, I got that.
Okay.
So it's more like for us, like, okay, are we gonna aim to have another informational meeting in September? Or, you know, like that
Yeah.
level,
What's the next
what-
meeting or whatever?
yeah.
I think there should be another public meeting with whatever additional detail we can come up with. A little more detail,
I agree.
So,
I agree.
at least-
I'm just,
partway towards the specific warrant article, if you will.
Yeah.
Mm.
I guess I'm kind of. I wanted it to be simple. I guess that's the bottom line.
And
I
so, yeah,
agree.
not having a plan is the
Gosh, I
simplest.
agree with that, yes, certainly.
And so now what this means is there's a hell of a lot of work that needs to be done between now and then, and I'm a little resistant.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing my squirmy in the chair,
Sure.
just acknowledging that.
Mhm.
But it didn't happen the simple way, which is what we were hoping. So
Right,
it raises the question, you know, in order to get it to happen, we need to do something. So it's a matter of figuring out a plan, and I guess haven't put much thought into what that plan might be.
Mhm. Okay, well, we don't have to decide right now, but it seems that maybe in the fall, I've been like an educational meeting.
Yep, I think an educational meeting, that's kind of like, what are discretionary funds? What are all the possible ways to use them? But we gotta make it, I think somehow we gotta get people to come to it, you know, like, we really need opinions. Maybe we send out a survey or do something that goes
Yeah.
to them rather than saying, you come to this meeting or your voice won't be heard. So at least a survey, like some educational materials and a public session for those who wanna come.
yeah, some
And then
education,
follow up with a survey kind of thing that can go out. to
or
more
even
people.
together, but the survey has to be preceded by some education.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So maybe it is as basic as a survey, but the survey has a preface of education. So people know what they're being asked to consider.
Yes.
And I don't know of any good way to do that. I suppose it can be done electronically on, listserv, et cetera. Or is it something that needs to be snail mailed?
Oh, we actually have money. My God.
That's
Yes.
true.
Well, I don't know if we have enough to do a snail mail throughout the town. There's a couple of thousand addresses out of the town.
Yeah, and sometimes there's a little bit of maybe an age divide, like
Yeah,
times,
some people will be interested and some people will just,
yeah, like, or some people would just jump maybe on the online. Yeah,
and it's like the listserv, which does not have a huge audience.
No,
Or certainly the town website does not have a huge audience.
right.
Um,
We could host it on our energy committee page. So-
Yeah, that too, but I do think if we want to attempt to get people, we might want to consider one mailing to the entire
Now,
residence.
one possibility to get something out without postage cost is that we have a primary coming up in September.
Oh,
And logically, there may be 1,000 or more people that will vote in that primary.
I don't even know what the primary is going to
Well, it's
be, like whether I would vote.
part is gubernatorial,
Oh, right.
but it's also
Yes, we will get
congressional.
people. Yeah, we will get people.
So we have prior to November, we have a primary date in September in this state.
Right,
And so there's an opportunity to hand out a sheet of paper and might hit a few folks. I'm not saying gonna hit
oh, I know.
So hand out something,
majority or anything,
hand
but
out some paper at the
at the
primary.
primary,
Now, by handing it out, you mean we would have to be there like, outside the building? and
yeah, I think
Not
so,
like something that
right.
could be
Yeah.
provided by the town.
No,
Right, okay.
no, it would have to be outside the building, handing something out to each voter,
Yeah,
have a little sign that says Energy Committee. So that they know you're not soliciting a vote.
right. I'd almost rather do a mailing, from the perspective of it.
I'm just trying to find a way to save postage.
Right,
you
right.
know.
I am worried that it might feel
And-
political.
The cost of postage now, even to the couple of thousand people, it adds up quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be interesting to talk to folks who have been doing the master plan work because they might have figured out what works best for this community.
Well, yes and no.
They were discouraged with the.
Yeah, the turnout was not
Good.
very, strong. And the online survey was not very strong. I personally think that it could have been promoted more, at least the online thing. But they will be also having meetings in the fall. I will be I have an update on that too, but they will be having meetings in the fall, going over. The expectation is that there'll be a draft by like September. I don't know if that's realistic or not. And then they would be having meetings, open meetings for the public to respond to. And this is a possibility of something that could be brought up there.
By when, September, you thought maybe that's when the
Yeah.
draft? Actually, so should we do that update as long as I started typing?
Should we do that update? That's your
What is it called? The master plan.
master plan. Okay, so we'll segue. into
Yeah, I
master
don't think I have anything else for community power. Do you?
Although there is, expectation that, some really outrageous number are expected to launch in October.
Oh, yeah, good number. A good, like almost doubling our
I
size.
mean, a number of towns,
Yeah, that are gonna,
as well as, what is it, Cheshire County?
yep, Cheshire County, and actually there's a second county, is there? Or not a county, a
Merrimack.
Merrimack?
Oh, Merrimack County.
So, launch back in April a year ago was 10, quickly came 12. And then later in the year, another 8, not that many.
I don't remember.
Anyway, we're up to, at the end of, March was another big launch. June, actually. We're now at June, and June was another launch of another set of communities. I think we're at, 113,000 meters, which is, and I think it's 35 communities or something. We're quite a bit. And then maybe it's more like as many as 20 might launch in October.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
So do we have any idea what percentage of either people or meters that represents statewide?
It's like 37% of the population.
Yeah, we're bigger than the New Hampshire Electric Co-op.
So we're bigger than the New
Power
Hampshire
is
Electric Co-op in terms of
Serving
purchasing
more,
power.
serving more, yeah. serving more
People that,
meters.
yeah,
There'll be, there's gonna be a release. I'm on the members outreach committee and there's gonna be a summary. It'll be going out sometime within the
so
month.
by October, however, it could be as much as 37%
Yeah,
of the population under community power.
it could be that much, yes.
What's the number did you say, sorry?
37% of the population.
Yeah,
No, I think I wouldn't, I'm not gonna type that in the minutes and I don't know
Well, I
what
was just
it
looking for
is.
something to,
It feels like that from what.
I know. I'm
But I
just,
don't have, since
I
we don't
don't-
have the exact numbers, it's better to just
Yeah,
talking generalizations, like people are amazed. We also heard today, there was a CPCNH meeting today, that the utilities are absolutely seeing the
impact.
impact. and
The impact.
Yeah, the impact, which is not hurting.
so they're all looking at their various and sundry administrative rates.
Well, it's not hurting them. So the good news is, we are just an energy supplier. They were not making any money on the energy supply. They are still making all their money on billing,
As a
distribution.
former business person, I'm a cynic. Whenever anybody says we're not making money on it,
They're not
it was-
allowed to
it was still cash flow.
by law.
It
Yes.
was still sitting in the bank. So I'm a business
Yeah.
cynic when someone says to me, and I'm not making any money on it. They're,
Okay, good
you know,
point. Good
but
point.
the point is, I think it's great that it has proven its worth.
What it has done is it as had the PUC tell the public utilities, they must do a better job at purchasing power cheaper than the
Precisely.
rest of us.
Precisely.
So that has happened.
Until
Because
they're
if we can
making
do it.
adjustments.
Yeah, in a way, we are definitely affecting
Pushing,
the,
yeah,
yeah. we
Yeah,
are creating
pushing the
competition.
marketplace
down.
to respond properly to the users.
Okay, we're moving on. I have
Yes.
to get to this master plan.
Okay,
Yes.
This is-
okay,
we
okay,
had-
okay. So indeed, we just talked, Michael was here, we did talk a little bit about, solar projects. So I did a little bit of research on what, funding sources are available for purchasing DPW. That was to connect with the Community Development Finance Authority. So they provide statewide capital that is low interest for clean energy projects.
Good.
They'd be very happy to work with us. The major question by Scott Maslowski that I spoke to was how in the town of Enfield are people feeling about taking on debt?
Not good.
Which brings, because that's debt. So what they do, they
Yeah.
provide debt, right?
Right.
Which can be, he was saying, well, as long as you can make the case that these energy projects are, that you can actually,
Pay the
they
debt.
can pay the debt oftentimes.
Yeah.
Right up
Oh, yeah.
front.
Yeah, you'd have to prove
So,
That's
that
what
it's
we're doing.
virtually a wash
Yes,
right,
for Enfield to accept it
Yeah.
as they head into next year's budget, which will include the full impact of the municipal facilities being built.
I know. Adding another conflict.
But if,
Yeah.
if the case can be made that a low interest loan can be paid by
or by
the
savings in electricity.
savings and the direct savings and electricity on
Yep.
this field,
Right, right here, for at least.
then that becomes a much
Yeah.
cleaner decision to say, well, that's just tit for tat.
Yeah.
We can do
Yeah,
that type of,
What was the funding, so I get that in Scotland?
it's the Community Development Finance Authority.
Oh, community development. fund.
now
Okay.
specifically,
And
when would we have to buy that by, according to his contract? I lost that. He
it
mentioned-
was, I have it in my notes, but I think it's, this. In 2026 is when we can make the purchase. But, I think the option comes available to us a little bit sooner.
so this is June, so this ends year 3.
Yeah,
2 more years.
we have 2 more years of operating.
So
Commitment,
June of 25,
that would be 4, and then
24, June
and
of
then
26.
6.
And I think sometime
So
after
we
that.
wouldn't necessarily have to do it in this coming March's
Right.
town meeting.
But we should be thinking about it for the next, yeah.
However, the town meeting of 2026,
We want our ducks in order.
we want our ducks in
Or,
order.
or a warrant on the.
And then we want a warrant article perhaps for the town meeting of 2026.
Yeah, so
But by
that,
then we'll have to make sure that he is willing to,
Still do this, yes.
still do this. And
but we discussed the 2026 deadline and he was comfortable with that. And
seem to be.
yeah, and so the
When
thing
you
is,
say he, and you're talking he, I think you're
I'm sorry,
talking two
different
different
he.
people.
okay, sorry, I was
Oh, I'm
talking
sorry.
about the gentleman that I spoke
Scott.
to, Scott.
Oh, I was talking about the owner. Okay,
Slansky. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
but thank you.
Well, yeah, there is work to come up with that, making that case, that calculation. It's not an easy answer. So anyway, what I've started to do is to try to compile these sources of debt or funding,
Mhm.
so that we can have a sense of where the money can come from. So that's been one of my action items that I
Thank you.
created for
Great.
myself.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, that leads us to the opportunity that was brought to us by Sarah Brock on the solar municipal grant that we have an opportunity to apply for with her help, which would be amazing. The question is, what is the right site? And from our conversation while you were on, thank you for replying. It seems that the roof of the fire and emergency building is now being built to be powerful enough.
Structurally, we looked at that. I think, Kim, you attended that meeting.
I thought we were okay. I mean,
No, the structural engineer said it was going to add quite a bit of money.
what I'm saying is, I thought the way it was being built was going to be okay. Not that they had to add more to
No,
make it 10 pounds per square foot.
it was, the design that they came up with was not going to be adequate for solar on the roof. It was going to be adequate to meet, building code, snow load.
Which should be fine for solar on the.
But
roof.
engineers
That's
were saying not enough for solar load.
fine. So who can I talk to and where can I get those plans? Because I would really like.
That would have to definitely go back to the town manager.
Ed, yeah, okay, I
And
started.
Ed would be able to
Yep.
ask them,
Okay. I just need the plans. for the
but
roof. We
I
can
would
take a
have,
look
I
at
would be
that.
prepared to tell them, and you would know best, what the load is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an action item for you, Kim.
Yes, I'll send an email to Ed and see if I can get the details and send it through our engineering, through Vision Engineering, just to say that's gonna be fine.
Yeah, that would be fine. In which case, then the only thing would be, the electrical contractor making sure that the appropriate conduit is. in
Yeah, but
place.
that's easy to
But
add. later
that's
too.
nothing.
And that would be an interesting building because it has load, like, I mean, it's big.
Yeah.
It certainly will have a load, not
Yeah.
huge, hopefully, but it will have a load,
And
yes.
the other thought on that is it can still be the same grant, can be the same building, but on the ground.
Yes.
There's no
And
reason
that's
why this
interesting,
grant can't be on the ground if this roof doesn't work out.
Are there any other action items or steps related to that?
No, I'll take the action item.
Because there is an August deadline to apply,
Yeah,
so we just have to be a little bit swift.
Okay.
Okay, so then we're wrapped up with that.
see, Ed doesn't want it on the roof. He's very adamant. I don't understand that.
I haven't had that
Yeah.
specific conversation beyond the meeting that I know you were at and I
Yeah.
was at. So I can't say that.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know.
It seems that, Joanna, you'd like to move something up in the
Yes.
agenda as it's getting.
Haven't we even gotten to have the, okay, let's do it. Let's
That's
do
the
the master
problem with
plan.
the guest
Yeah, it
speakers.
is.
Okay, master plan.
Okay.
We had a meeting last night, and we received the summary of information from the in-person forum and the online survey. They were put together and they were summarized, and I have those that I want to give out to you.
Oh, good.
Yes,
And then there were specific. On the online survey, there were opportunities for notes. You know what I mean, like comments.
Yeah.
And I want to all to have an opportunity to look these over. July 15th, and I would like any comments or input. By the 10th of July. Several of the things that are striking in this is, some of the questions are. What should, Enfield do, blah, 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 blah. There was a lot of, positive response about municipal buildings is where there should be solar. So I just thought that, that's why I wanted to bring this up, it's like, come on.
so there is an action item for all of us to provide input to you, Joellen, but what kind of input? What do you need from us?
Whatever on the notes that you want to emphasize. The notes like here, there were some that were really kind of surprising.
So the last pages 54 and 55. Oh,
Well,
wait, no, there's all these pages. Oh, my goodness.
yeah,
okay.
page 47, I'm just gonna read the question, that's all. Okay, 20,
We did get 63% responding that climate change, renewable energy and sustainability are very important. And even 18 are important, and then only 18 total that were somewhat or not important. That's pretty good.
yeah, and then, 29 is all of the comments that were about it.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
29, okay. Wow.
and people
Wow.
may be supportive, but they may have still made comments about it. So, all right, let's go back here. The actual summary of things. How important? Okay, and you know, as you said, like 64%, almost 63% said it was very important. The summary, how important? Like, if you look at these summary sheets.
Yep.
And that collects, again, that's the in-person forum and the survey, and this is the key findings that they found about it. Some respondents view climate change as a foremost global issue and believe other local actions are part of the solution. But some of the comments are kind of like, what can the town do? I mean, this is, but anyway, but I want you to emphasize.
Yeah.
On the
And you need those
The
comments
summaries
back
by
by
the
July
10th,
10th.
yeah. Biggest opportunities and challenges, it says cost and affordability. One of the things that kept coming up over and over and over again in all of the topics for the master plan was education, over and over again. And it raises a question that we collectively are gonna have to deal with. How do you get the education out there?
To people who don't want to come to a public meeting.
Right. Anyway. So, do you think the town needs to do more? And a lot of a lot of responses had to do with stormwater and sustainability, which was interesting. What do you think the town can do? Blah, blah, blah. Where would you like to see, Enfield produce more renewable energy? And it's municipal buildings. It said, it came up with like 82%.
Yeah.
Private property, it says 63%.
That's super interesting,
Yeah,
because we can use this data also to validate what we're trying to do, you know, this is great.
I was a little concerned on this last page on the summary thing, where it says some respondents were skeptical or opposed to certain renewable energy projects, citing concerns about costs, aesthetics, and previous rejections of renewable projects on private land.
Oh,
And I challenged the summary on that. But that was because the only information I had was these, which was the survey, not the actual in-person forums. And it might have been in the in-person forums that they raised those questions. But that's something that we have to contend with.
This is great, so thank you so much for.
yeah, being our liaison
Yeah.
here, this is good.
So
And you have to remember that there's always outliers. There's always somebody who's gonna say, not our business.
Mm.
And that's true in some respects. But, you know,
but there's a lot of people who skipped the questions.
that's absolutely correct.
And there's not the whole town that answered them at all. So like this one has 44 answers and yeah. So we
I
have to understand that this isn't really
Yeah, it's not representative.
representative of the whole
It's
town.
representative of
Neither
the
is,
survey,
yeah,
respondents from the survey,
40 or 50.
but it's just,
Yeah. So our job will be to elevate some of the elements from the notes, like, you know, for, to me, this matters, or like,
Yeah,
okay. Great. Thank you so much for all of that.
sure.
Just a question, we are at 7:16 at this point.
Yeah.
Are there any super urgent things, that we need to go over? We are not expecting to have a guest speaker next month, so we can catch up on some of these things. One of the things was, you know, like can the energy committee have an advisory role? Whenever there is, a
Right.
new development or a retrofit, you know, I can create an action item for myself to have a little bit of like a 1 page or 2 pager of resources, or, but then I think one action item was.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Rob because I've been away, and
Yeah,
so I will do that before our next meeting.
It's interesting that last meeting, I had this long conversation with Liam. And was assured that, you know, what he's been doing, and now he's left the position, so
Mhm.
it's kind of like, oh. So it raises the question, do we wanna have a role, and how would that work?
That may be, but the gentleman who I have not met,
Oh, that's right.
taking over the position, has already started. And I understand he's quite experienced, comes
Good.
from Claremont,
Oh, good.
what's
so.
the role, what's the title?
Building inspector,
Building inspector.
health
Building and
inspector.
health is, yeah, building
Yeah,
and health.
building health inspector, coordinator, works for Rob Taylor. Rob is definitely his supervisor. So I think, you know, informing
Good.
Rob of our interest in if we can be a resource to developers.
Right,
Okay, so,
I mean, you know, it's a funny thing, but, and if you mentioned, I think I picked it up somewhere. For example, I wonder whether the developer of Laramie Farms knows about community power. And
Right.
when they go and put in all those new meters, a lot of them are gonna be on. And they need to be, from the very beginning,
They should just be put on community
put
power.
on community power. But if somebody doesn't say something, they will not be.
Right, right.
And a little one, small little one, occurred to me yesterday, which I will mention to them. The power which it takes for construction,
Mhm.
for example.
Yep.
The contractor who's just broken ground on,
Start paying for that.
will be
Yes.
there for 12 to 13 months.
right.
And will use a pretty good amount of power to construct that building. But they can be part of community power if they list that location as their address and have the bill sent there rather than Vermont. If they go list their home office in Vermont, they won't get community power.
They might be able to, because I think it's the service address that matters and the meter and, yeah, because Liberty only, I think only cares
Yeah.
about that.
A simple
But they still
project
have
like
to
that
do
could
that.
be
Right.
$1,000 over the course of a year.
Yeah.
Little things.
so, if you're holding on to your action item for.
Yes, I need to speak to Rob,
And so this is also a question for Rob possibly. to
Yes.
Start,
as developers contact him.
yeah,
And as
Yeah.
projects become real, he needs to inform them about community power as part of his town presentation.
okay. So an action item then for me, or is it too soon? You know, like I wanted to create like a 1 pager of things to consider when there are new projects or.
Yeah, we could do that at any time.
Right.
The 1 pager,
Maybe that,
even if Tracy has already spoken with the new, do we have a name on the new person?
I didn't catch his
Okay.
name.
Doesn't matter, okay.
okay,
Sure.
all right. So I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Good meeting. And I have the newest issue of Green Energy Times.
I got mine.
Take one home.
You do?
I always get it from Hannaford. They have a nice file as soon as it's printed.
I know.